some, and the idea of why the pit bull is the best, along with game-bred van dogs being, I would say, number 2 or right on par with the pit bull, or any type of pit bull mix that has a certain amount of genetics of the pit bull in it. But you know, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to just explain, like, to the naysayers, like, why those dogs are the best. And you know, I'm not like trying to encourage dog fighting or anything like that. I just personally, I've watched like 10,000 videos online showing, you know, different things like that people will send you on Facebook or whatever. Like, there'll be like matches and, you know, like just different things that are tossed around the internet, like, you know, hunting videos or some sort of protection video that prove why the APBT is the gamest dog breed, and why, you know, anything with those genes in it can produce, let's say, that those genes of gameness, and why those are the best. So historically, for one thing, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of people like to talk a lot of shit. They like to act like pit bulls and those type of dogs are not the best because they saw some pit bull somewhere get his ass torn to shreds by some Kangal or whatever. Well, they don't know is that, for example, in the leagues where the Kangal is matched still, like, you know, all these different types of like backyard, you know, BS breeders who sell their Kangals for, you know, $10,000 to, you know, dumbass Americans or, you know, whoever will buy them, you know, and you basically have people that they'll have like a ring or some sort of like, you know, organization where they're matching them. Well, those people don't use like good pit bulls. You have to understand what I'm trying to say. Like, just because you've seen some dog, you know, do some certain things, doesn't mean that all of them of the breed are that way. And the funny thing is about, like, for example, what I was saying about those dogs is that there's some sort of dogs that are what am I trying to say? Like the one of the champions not too long ago in the Turkish league even was you know, his name was Gabo, and they put him up against this red dog, right? This red pit bull. And he jumped the damn box, and he was their world champion pretty much. Like, he was like looked at as like the best, you know, alibi by a lot of people, you know, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like, you know, he just basically got his ass turned up, and the dog wasn't even that good. The pit bull wasn't even making a lot of blood or anything like that in the match, and yada yada yada. And it just kind of was like, you know, it wasn't, you know, it's not something that you would look at it and go, damn, that's even like a fantastic pit bull. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't. He was trash, to be honest. And he let the alibi stay in the fight even too long. You know, and you know, that kind of stuff is what makes me mad. You know, like when people say stuff about these dogs being not as good as some dog 2 or 3 times their size, they're literally designed to beat those dogs. They're the #1 matching dog throughout human history, you know, that we know of. I mean, like, it's designed to be smaller. Like, smaller is better for matching. I don't think people understand that. You know what I'm saying? Historically, the pit bull, right? Like, they used bulldogs and terriers, right? The reasons why they use bulldogs and terriers, among with other stuff, and I'll get to that in a second, but they use bulldogs and terriers because bulldogs are the gamest dogs. Regardless of if the terrier was known for gameness, okay? The terrier being known for quote-unquote gameness is more having to do with its tenacity rather than its actual deep gameness. And Richard Stratton is a good example of that, and he explains stuff like that. Bulldogs are extremely game. They're tougher than any other breed. They can take animals 100 times their size, and they do this by catching, because what they do is they pick a spot, and it's a weak spot on the animal, and they're designed to lock onto that spot and never let go until they get to, you know, organs or, like, you know, some sort of extreme amount of damage to take that animal down, or they'll, you know, move to different spots of the body doing that type of maneuver, which is called catching. You just pick spots on the animal that are weak spots and break it down. That is specifically what the bulldog competitive by nature too. Like, meaning like bulldogs keep producing more bulldog genetics. You know what I'm trying to say? And people refined it over time. You have to understand that those dogs are the gamest dogs. And terriers are the most tenacious dogs. They're the most willing to get up and do something dogs, especially under pain or pressure. They're not as deep game, I would say, as bulldogs. They will quit on you quicker than a bulldog will, but the best ones even, and but they're not like as slow paced as a bulldog. A bulldog is like a juggernaut. It has to get a second to get up to speed, and then once it's locked onto a target and all wild up and shit, and like has a little bit of like 5 minutes of getting kicked in the face by a bull or something, it goes to work on whatever it's going to work on, more. You know what I mean? It takes a minute, with a lot of them. So that's what, the reasons why you blend those two together, because you get a consistent, hard-working dog that's tenacious up front in the match or in the fight against the animal or person, and then you get the bulldog side for the end part, and then he's just not going to quit until he's not able to move, pretty much. You know what I mean? So you got to understand that was the concept of it. And then they put in things like Sighthound. There was Whippet documented in the pit bull. So regardless of if you agree with it or not, it's factual. The Staffordshire Terrier lines that they use have Whippet in them. They are Walsall lines, and they have Whippet. The Irish strains had some sort of Sighthound Terrier crosses. Okay? So I think that it's Greyhounds that they used, because and Whippet is some form of a Greyhound, right? Back historically, it's like a smaller Greyhound that they made into their own breed. But you have to understand that like the Greyhound would be the smart thing to use in it. But that's essentially what they said, is that there's like Sighthound Terrier crosses, right? Those crosses are what made the pit bulls lock on the targets in a running situation better. You know what I mean? So they use those three breeds or types of dogs, to produce something that would find a target, even if it was stationary or running, lock onto it, and then find its weak spots, and then do it consistently with tenacity over a long period of time. That's essentially what they do, and that you can see the function of that. So, and Tom Garner even said that they had oxygen assimilation like a greyhound, like a racing greyhound. Well, that would make sense then with what I'm saying. Whippets are greyhounds on some level, and so are greyhounds. Which is what I think that they use, with smaller greyhounds mixed with terriers, because like lurchers, you know what I mean? Because that's what they used back in the day in Europe. It was lurchers to kill shit. So you gotta understand, this is like factual. Okay, so what this does though for big dogs is that big dogs, even if you had like a Spitz, right? Let's say you had an Akita, and he was the baddest fucking Akita, like he could take pain and everything, because I know for a fact that other dogs have some display of gameness. They just don't do it like a pit bull. You see what I'm saying? And if you're not an Akita, let's say, and he's a super, badass Spitz and is able to run longer and even fight longer, hypothetically, than a pit bull, because of his endurance, if he was willing to do it, right? Even though the pit bull is the most willing, and therefore that's why they go longest. But what I'm saying is that Akita is going to take breaks because he's so fucking big. Okay, the bigger you go in matching, the less ability to work that you have, for one, usually because they breed dogs down in size, and they try to get the same drives in smaller packages historically. Not only that, but the heat alone is enough to make fucking dogs quit really early. Okay, when you're so big and you have all kinds of heat flowing through your body, right? Even if it's pound for pound, okay, the same, hypothetically, let's say, that big ass dog, if the heat travels to different parts of his body and accumulates in those parts, he can overheat the fuck out of his body really fast, right? So that's how it works. If there's a little bit of a breeze, or there's some change in how the heat moves throughout your body for some reason, some shade, let's say, like in one part, like on your face versus, all that stuff will affect how the heat travels through your body. It will overheat a big dog faster, and like I said, they breed for down and sup historically. That's why smaller dogs work harder on average than bigger breeds. You see what I'm saying? It's not that you can't have a working breed at 200 pounds. You can if you pick the right one and you train them for it and you bred for it. But what I'm saying is that the smaller ones, especially the bulldogs with their head and their chest have all the organs pretty much of a big dog, okay, and they have stumpy little legs and and they're huge muscular meatballs, with stumpy legs and less fat on them and less skin and less hair, and are designed to be like, chiseled down to the essentials more of a Mastiff, which is what they are historically bred to do, is be small packages of ass-kicking Fiesta, those dogs, like, you see what I'm talking about and the function of them and why that they are the best. A bulldog is not small either. That's what I don't understand. These pit bulls get 75 pounds in conditioned weight. You have to understand, on a chain, you can make one of those dogs over 100 pounds. Over 100 pounds. There's historically pit bulls who have been 100 plus pounds on a chain, 90 something, 80. Your average Mayday dog you can hit 80s with, I promise. 70s, 80s. And that's with regular amounts of fat. They're not even going to be that unconditioned. They're going to be in conditioned somewhat weight, like being like healthy weight, like a show weight, or something. At show weight, damn near, they'll be like 90s and up, some of these Mayday dogs. So you're not really making any sense, man. Then that dog is only going 2 times its weight against a Kangal. Not only that, but the Kangal, okay, most of the time that they're matched, or some other type of dog like that, is they're out of shape. They're not in the same kind of shape as the pit bulls are. So you have to understand, if you put those dogs in the same kind of shape, they wouldn't be 880 pounds. They'd be more like 140. You know what I'm saying? 150 tops, even for the largest ones. The other ones that are at the low end of the spectrum would be more like 100. Okay? That pit bull was only going up against a little bit bigger than him then. Even if it was up to 2 or 3 times, it is literally known as the dog that will destroy anything up to 2 and 3 times its size. Every single dog breed, if cut in the right shape, is only 2 or 3 times about its size. You see what I'm trying to say? The biggest dog ever, Zorba, is 340 something pounds, and when he was really hefty, he would be 300 pounds, let's say, in like a healthy weight, right? And a pit bull in healthy weight could be about 100 if you wanted to, the largest ones. You get one of those ones that's dead game at 100 pounds on a chain, I promise you, there is literally game dogs. No, I'm not talking about working pit bull terriers. No, I'm talking about American pit bull terriers at 100 pounds on a chain. I have some that are going to be at least 70s or 80s on a chain if I feed them at like a healthy, good weight but not peaked out condition. I promise you. Mayday was 80 something if you fed him right. I promise you can get that dog to 100 pounds if he's a little bit, not chunky, but like just a little bit thick. Just like, I'm talking just like a regular show, at the house dog, but not like, husky like some of these people keep their pets. I'm talking like really good looking dog, you know what I'm saying? And just, it just got like, you can see his muscles and he's still in good shape, but it's just not peaked, I'm trying to tell you, they are not small. And that dog carries with it the ability to bite through a freaking tortoise shell like a jaguar. I promise you. They're going to crack your dog's bones and eat them like a moose bone, okay? Because they can crack those too, okay? You're not going to know what the fuck to do when your dog is getting his ass whooped if it was a match, okay? Now, like I said, I'm not trying to promote it. I'm just letting people know so that we don't have to promote it anymore. I'm tired of the fucking argument. There is no debate. The only breed that is known to fight to the death historically, consistently, and at the pace that you would expect of a professional fighter of animals, okay, and really better than that, because they're the best animal for combat on this planet, and arguably ever in the history of our world. They are the gamest creatures I've ever seen in my life. There is no other animal that will fight with his intestines hanging to the floor and his leg gone and his ears and face half gone and still scratch like a bat out of hell, tumbleweeding over itself, barely able to stand, and will still try to get a piece of the other animal, consistently bred for that. There's no animal that is like that. Just because some shark that looks like a zombie or something chases a fish because it has to live is not the same thing. These things will do it for the fun of it. Their brain lights up like a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, you know what I'm saying? Like, with endorphins, like, to fight. They enjoy it. It's like an MMA fighter on crack and meth, and they have teeth, okay? There's nothing you're going to be able to convince me, because I know the realities of what pit bulls are, okay? People should not own these dogs unless they are able to handle something like an exotic pet. You know what I'm trying to say? That is my personal opinion. I don't think that there should be like licensing and stuff for it. I just think people need to get their head out their fucking ass and, you know, stop letting like their American bullies, which aren't even real pit bulls, bite people and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, most pit bulls are human friendly, but when you get one that's a man biter, it's a hell of a fight. That dog is designed to beat things up 5 times, 100 times its size, okay? So you just gotta keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just want people to understand that, you know, and that's the thing, man. Like, this whole argument, like I'm saying, is just dumb, okay? Now, band dogs or some other bull lurcher of some type, or some sort of bull herder, or some sort of pit bull mix that's got 75% of the genetics or more, usually is right about the percent that you want, because you want the body of the pit bull a lot in there. You want, you know, if you want to add a little size or speed with the bull lurcher type of thing, whatever. But you know, that's essentially what you usually want out of the dogs, is that much genetics. And then you're gonna start throwing things that are game, like a game pit is. You know, you want to keep it very tight to pit bulls, you know, if you're trying to get that type of dog. And there's no other thing that you can make that is going to be like this. I'm telling you, all the other breeds are not like this breed. So the genes are not the same. You are not going to throw something that is like, you know, game bred with like 25% pit bull in it. I'm telling you right now, I've never seen it. I don't believe that you will. If you got, like, let's say just even the mental, like emotional organs and everything associated with gameness, that would be it. But like, I just don't think, I haven't seen one. I've watched tons of people try this and they just get nowhere with throwing pit bull in there. I'm telling you. So, you know, it's up to you, man, you know, and trying to figure it out. But but yeah, I mean, I'm making my way, you know, back to work, and, you know, just kind of driving right now, but getting around to go back to work at some point. But yeah, I just want people to realize just stuff like that. Like, I don't personally like endorse matching. You know what I mean? I am an aficionado of gameness, if that makes sense, and of the pit bull history, and you know, like how good they are with those traits. But I do not like. I'm not gonna sit there and go, oh, you know, I want, you know, dogs to be dead and hurt all the time or whatever. But I do believe that pit bulls like to fight. It is a proven scientific thing. The dogs that they use in matching, if they're a real seasoned dog man and a good one, they all want to fight. And no one's going to put a dog in there just to get his ass whooped. You know what I'm trying to say? And to not want to be in there. A lot of dog men are very good dog lovers too. You know, like the Mike Vicks and the people who bait dogs that are horrible and, you know, just doing crazy shit to the animals. That's a whole different thing. And that's a media driven crapola fest. Like you never, you know, like they just love hating on people that own these game dogs and making it like a thing. You know, we don't all match them. We use them as for hog stoppers. We use them as people stoppers. If you get a man biter, there's nothing tougher than a pit bull. You know what I'm saying? Or a pit bull genetically based dog. You know, so that's pretty much it. You know, like I think that people need to realize, like, my channel is a troll channel sometimes, and my Facebook is too, you know, but I'm very serious about dogs, and I just like to show people that I can have dogs go crazy and wild on my yard, and they're still going to be able to behave, and they're still easy to manage, they're still easy to do, things like that. And there's nothing wrong with owning some serious hard-nosed breeds, and if they get into a fight here and there, so be it. You know what I'm trying to say? This is dogs. These are animals who like to roll around in their own shit and eat it. Okay, like we need to stop making them out to be little babies and pampered. They are freaking killing machines. They are the #1 killing machine that's ever walked our earth that we know. Dogs have the highest kill rate of any animal. That's among orcas. That's among anything else. Other animals can usually dodge an orca. You know, like it's hard to like get out of an area where an orca pack is chasing you or whatever. But there's times like where they miss. You know, some animals are fast enough to get out of the way. African wild dogs literally will chase anything on land down. Anything if they wanted to. And then pit bulls have the highest kill rate among domesticated dogs, and pit bull like dogs, and you know, they're better than African wild dogs. So you have to understand that. Like, we use no more lions, no more bears, no more anything besides those animals and like chickens, because there's reasons for it. Those animals on film have fought longer than any other animal. That's why we use them. Whether or not you can get, you know, a seasoned pack of honey badgers or some shit that you domesticate over 150 years, you know, to do better or whatever, is something that you would have to prove. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying the reason why we don't match other animals, you know, besides those two, and really like fighting bulls, is because those that have the most fight in them. If you watch a fighting bull, for example, those animals have hilarious amounts of fight in them comparatively to like a grizzly or something that fights for 10 minutes and wants to quit, and or just like, you know, and I'm not saying that they're not somewhat game. Like, lions and bears can fight, but they'll fight to the death. They just don't do it at the pace that those animals do. Like, a bull will fight you for fucking 30 minutes. I watched one throw a lion around like a rag doll, just like, and he was just like a longhorn steer looking bull type of thing, you know, like, and that's not even like a fighting bull that they use in like, you know, like fights and stuff, or like bucking competition. Those bulls are not up to be fucked with. You know what I'm saying? So there's reasons why we use this stuff. People don't understand. Like, we could all own tigers. Like, a lot of people own them. Mike Tyson owns some. You know, you can get them to match. You know, nobody does that. You know what I'm saying? Not only because it's not illegal, but because back in the day, everyone figured out what the best shit was. Okay, chickens like fight super long amounts of time and are super hardy, and you have like fighting fish, you know, and like just, they're usually the #1 breeds for it are usually the ones that they have been proven to do it at the highest levels. You know what I'm trying to say? Game pit bulls are the gamest creature that I've ever seen in my life. Like, I've never seen something that will do what a game pit will do if it's a good one. Just because, like I said, you see something lay down and take it up the ass by a Kangal, you know, or by some Tosa, you know, which aren't even fought to the death historically, and literally like only win half the time because pit bulls are screamers. You know, like, they're the best dogs. A good large pit bull will fuck up any of those dogs' days. I promise. They don't even like, one time, like when they first came over to Japan, they didn't even know what the fuck to do about the pit bull. They were like, how is this little thing beating this giant dog's ass? Like, that's literally what they thought, and that's why they mixed them with pit bulls. You know what I'm saying? They mix them with pit bulls. They're still losing, and they lose because the only time the pit bulls lose is because they're screamers, you know, pretty much. Like, every now and then you'll get a cur or whatever that loses, but, you know, I'm talking about, you know, like they scream, and that's against the rules. Or they lay down on the floor, you getting trounced for 10 minutes, but the fight's not over, and the pit bull is going to win if you let them go, but then they stop the match. Okay, stop lying. You guys are all fucking clowns. Like, anything over 100 pounds is going to get smoked like a cheap suit. It's going to get fucking smoked, bro. Like a cheap cigar. You're never even going to fucking, like, have a chance, okay, if he's a good one against that. You know what I'm saying? If you're some Kangal guy or BK guy or Tosa Alibi guy, whatever, and you're matching into something that's like under 100 pounds in shred weight, you know, conditioned, fucking peaked out, like, that thing is just gonna move like a bat out of hell over a long period of time because he has nothing on him. There's no weight on him. He's got all the fight in the world with the organs to produce a lot of fight, but with no weight on him. You see what I'm saying? And they don't need a bunch of armor, you know. They're game, you know. Like, people are just so dumb, you know. And I just want people to, like, realize, like, you know, the more we talk about this and talk about what's really the best for this and that, less people are gonna do matching. They're gonna stop harming dogs. You know, in terms of like, even though the dogs want to do it, they're, you know, you don't have to put your dog in that situation. You know, because they do want to fight, like I said. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you don't want your dog to get hurt, you know, and you want to, but you want to like be like looked at as the best because you're a macho dude, you know, and you're matching because of like trying to get pit bulls to be known for something or whatever, because that's what they do. Like, they all want to see what the best dog is. Well, here's the best dog. That's the pit bulls are the best dog, or some sort of pit bull cross. I'm telling you, you're not going to get gameness. And the fight that you are talking about, like Kangles and shit, you know, like you're acting like Kangles and stuff do all this stuff. They don't do that shit, bro. Kangles literally go up against wolves, which is not that hard. There's matches against wolves that pit bulls have had. Like, they've smashed up wolves all the time. You know, they yeah, like just stuff like that. Like, they're just fucking, like, this whole thing is just stupid. Like, a pit bull is basically like a honey badger and Wolverine on meth, and that doesn't feel pain. You have to understand that. So, but I mean, just be aware that, you know, that essentially, you know, that's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop with the BS, and, you know, just anybody who likes my channel, just stay tuned. You know, I'm putting out some more videos. But I'll see y'all later. I'm going back into work.